So I want you to look at this. Take about 5 seconds. Think about it. Which of these does not belong? There are multiple answers. So there are multiple right answers. Everyone doesn't have to be the same. So if you think you have an answer, raise your hand. Oh? The circle. Why?
Because the others are squares.
Okay. So all the other ones are squares. This is the only one that's a circle. Who else had that same thought? Okay. Anyone else? Jonathan? Okay, so there's the only pink, purple-ish one, and the other ones are blue. Who else had that same thought? Okay, Joshua?
The top left. The top left.
Sorry, I'm trying to do my left.
Go ahead.
This one. This one.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in a different font.
Yes. So this is the only one in a different font. Who else was thinking the same thing? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, because it's the only one in white. Who else had that thought? Okay. Anyone else? Go ahead. They're all different for different reasons. Anyone else have another thought before I say some others? No?
I guess the circle one again because all of those like 3 cups hot letters.
No. Or more. 5 or more, yeah. So you could say, for that reason, you could also say this one has, yes, the circle is there, but it also has more of like a border. I think someone said last class this is the only one with a question mark. And you could also say this is the only one with a apostrophe. Yeah, that's about it. Okay. And then one more. So now this is a math one. You didn't see that. Alright. Which of these do not belong? Josh?
Top right. Any other one has a positive answer.
Okay, at the end. This is the only one with a negative one. L?
The white square don't have a 2 in it.
Where?
It just doesn't have a 2 in
It
it.
doesn't have a 2, period. Okay. All the other ones have a 2 somewhere, and this one does not. Did anyone have that same thought with either of those? Okay. Joshua?
Blue.
Why?
Because everything else is adding.
Okay, so here we're adding, but here we're subtracting. Anyone else have that same thought? Anything else? You got all the answers today.
Yellow, because it's plus 2 instead of plus 1.
Okay. So here we're all doing something to one, adding one, subtracting one, but in this case we're adding 2 instead. Anyone else think about the 2? Okay. Oh.
The yellow box doesn't have a 1 in it.
Correct. Okay, so while this one didn't have a 2 at all, this one doesn't have a 1 in it at all. Okay. Anyone think that? Okay. Any others? You were just in agreement. You also had that thought. Got it. In general, you could say this is the only one that doesn't have like a specific color, not even about the math at all, and that's fine. That I think someone else actually started to solve it to see that this would be the only one that gave you a negative answer. But I think that's a good portion of it. So we're going to do different warm-ups. Some of them will be like this. Some of them will be paper warm-ups. It varies on a daily. I'm going to go a little out of order from this. And we can ignore this. So some important things for my class are from the homepage. I post announcements daily of what you need to do before the next class. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. But if you ever need to see what did we do, what do I need to do, that's a good resource. So this from Tuesday will tell you that we did the About Me form, we did the intro discussion, that was optional. This was also, we didn't do because we're doing that today, but if you did it, fine, that's great. But it'll have whatever you need there. Let me go back. We'll talk about the course calendar in just a second. And we're going to go into class resources also in just a second. But there are some important, like if you want to play around with those, go into those whenever you can do that. These should take you to each of the modules. I haven't fixed this yet, but I have to add in Ms. Shepherd's office hours also. But mine are in the mornings. I've changed it to 6:50 on gray days. So if you ever need help, have a question, work on tests, retake work, all that stuff. So in the mornings on gray days, and then Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Right now until 3:30 every day. Once activity buses start until 4 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Ms. Shepherd's is also 2:30 to 4 on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So when you fill it out, you actually need to say Tuesday to Thursday.
By appointment, okay. So ours will both be by appointment. I'll show you how to make my appointments. I think Ms. Shepherd has a different way of her appointments. Okay. So then let's talk about the course calendar. So I'm not going to go into this, but I'm going to talk about the sheet you have. And some of the stuff I'm talking about is on this Navigating Canvas page, just different things, so you can take a look at that as well. But look at this, your orange sheet. So most of the time, whatever we're doing in the unit, this will be exactly what we're doing. Sometimes that changes, but very rarely, very few. It'll have your due dates for Delta Math, your quiz dates, your test dates. So all of your important dates are right here. In the class, this board will also say what we're doing every day. So if you have something due, it'll say in red. It'll say when your Delta Math is due. If your quiz is the next class or your test is the next class, I'll say that. On this board over here, this board right here, that's all of your stuff. So up in the corner where it says practice, anytime you have Delta Math, I'm going to put it up there, and then I'm going to put the due date up there. If you have questions about due dates, there are multiple places to find them in the room. And then on Canvas, I'm going to show you exactly where to find this piece of paper if you lose it in 1 second. Talk about these side links really quickly and then move on. Couple important ones. This one, the very first time you want to come see me after school or in the morning, go into this, just in case you forget what we do in class today. Watch that video and then make the appointment that you can come see me. If you forget, I'll just have you do it right then. And then this links to Delta Math right away. No, don't do that. Okay, so this takes you directly to Delta Math. If you don't have a bookmark, you can go to it from there. Questions about any of that? I'm going to actually go into the modules. If you want to go into the modules, play around with it, you can do that. If you didn't already, make sure you're signed into your Canvas page because they were just in it. We're not really doing a whole lot except in Canvas, except for some class resources codes later, so you should be okay. But alright, some important modules. Absent view this, that's an important one, especially if you're not here, planned or unplanned. It'll tell you what you should be doing. If one of us or both of us are not here, it'll also tell you what you should be working on. I'll try to post an announcement also, but make sure you're viewing that. The how to study is specifically for math, but you could also apply it in other classes. If you need some studying tips, look at that. The recorded lessons page So you can see I'm recording right now. It just records the screen and sound. So I'll do this for every class, try my best. Sometimes I forget, but I try my best. And you'll see your class, and you will just click on whatever the topic was, and it'll take you to my YouTube page. So you have access to that whenever. I'll go back. And then there are 2 places to find this if you lose it. One is the course calendar module, which you could access from the homepage. Or in the actual module itself, it will be at the top. It should be at the top. So it'll just be a PDF of that same version, but another place to find it. Retakes we'll talk about later once we get into testing. And then there's a bunch of things in the module. Don't feel overwhelmed by all of it. You don't have to go into all of it. It's just there as extra resources if you want them. Like if you want to see more vocab or things like that, do that. The most important things here are the notes page. It has blank notes, filled in notes, and a video, not our class video, but just of me up here doing problems. The discussions, I would like you to do them to the best of your ability. Sometimes I'm going to forget to say try to do them just to kind of build better knowledge, understanding on those. The Delta maths that are associated with whatever the topic is, it will just take you to Delta math. It just tells you the date that is due. There'll be a review sometimes. Sometimes it'll have a video, sometimes it won't. I'm working on that. It's in the process. The quizzes, those are just the dates. We're actually going to take quizzes and tests in class, so same thing with the tests. So those are the important things you really need from Canvas. I'm going to show you one last thing, and then you guys are going to join your class codes. But do we have any questions about anything Canvas related? So I'm going to go into this video. You can do this, but don't play it right now. Later, you can do that. So you're going to watch this video later, not right now, when you go to set up an appointment, but I'm just going to quickly show you what it looks like. So you wouldn't do this because yours is already in student view, but you would go into your calendar. So this doesn't work well on an app, so not on the iPad, not on your phone, but you would have to go into like a browser, Chrome, Safari, Edge, and you're going to see Find Appointment. And then if other teachers are using this, Find My Class. And then you may have to scroll, and they should pop up, or they should be bolded, pop up. And then you can click on whatever that date is, whatever time and date you want. Type in whatever we're meeting about, get extra help, finish a test, XYZ, hit reserve. And then it'll be grayed out. And then if you need to cancel it, you just go back in and do the same thing. So again, the video is going to show that again, just in case I went too fast and you were gone. Okay, questions about that? Yes.
So if you need help for me, you just can send me an email. That's all I got for you. Send me an email if you see me on Tuesday, the day of Tuesday or Thursday, say, can you help me? And then we can arrange the time. That's about it for me.
I only have this because my memory goes sometimes. 50 of you tell me too many things,
Well,
and then I'm
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
And then I get emails all the time, and this just helps me see, okay, I have students after school. I need to stay after school. It's a visual way for me to see I need to stay after school.
I don't have any students come to me. That's why I see.
Right. Okay. So what you all are going to do is go into the course, go into the homepage. And go into the class resources. And you're going to click all of the 7th period links and register for those codes. So you don't really have to do the Go formative. That's fine. You really just need to do the Delta Math, have to do the Delta Math and then do the Desmos because we'll do some activities on that too. So Desmos and Delta Math, do that, and then we'll come back. Someone asked, before I do that, sorry. If you would like the filled in notes, you can have the iPads open if you want the filled in notes. So on Desmos you can do that. On Canvas you can do this. You can clearly see I'm tired, guys. Go into modules. So this is only if you want a copy of the filled in notes, just so maybe if I'm going too fast, if you want it just as a reference, whatever. Go to Unit 1, Module. Find the Lesson 1 notes. So Modules, Unit 1 Modules, Lesson 1 notes. And those are at the very bottom. Modules, Unit 1, Lesson 1 notes, at the very bottom are the filled in notes if you need them. Okay. Besides that, you shouldn't have your iPad open, but if you have that on your iPad, that is fine. Okay, now moving on. If I asked you, what is a solution, what would you say? What would you tell me? What do you think a solution is?
The answer to a problem.
Okay, we can say that. The answer to a problem. What? No, okay. Okay. So take these and then we'll figure that out later, okay? Okay, so the answer to a problem. Now, what if I had, is x equals 5 a solution for this equation? Let's say I solved it already, you don't see that word, but I got this as an answer. How could I figure out if this is the actual answer or not? Could do that, I will show that later, but if we wanted to do it algebraically. How could I double check that this is my correct answer?
The calculator.
Okay, how in the calculator?
Basically 13, I put the -5 in parentheses. And then, and I got no solution.
Okay, so you're on the right track, just not exactly how you did it. So we are going to take that number and we're going to put it back into the variable. So we're going to, and I'm just going to use parentheses. You could use a dot. Try not to use the x for multiplication. So 13 times 5, and then I'm just going to write everything else. And then we're going to solve it like that. So go ahead and multiply on your calculator. If you didn't grab a calculator, go do that. 13 times 5. Tell me what you get. Yes. Okay. And then if I subtract 7, do I get 58?
Yes.
Yes. So the other day we were talking about true equations. It's the same on both sides. It's a true statement, true equation. So this is a solution to this because of this. It works. Okay. The board just does whatever it wants sometimes. Anyway. Yes, it's a solution. So this is a great way to check yourself, especially after you solve something, you got an answer, maybe you want to see, is this the right solution? Put it back in, see, do you get the same answers? If you don't, you know something's off, something's wrong, you gotta go back and fix it. Alright, we're gonna do one more of these, and I'll let you try a couple by yourself. Not really by yourself, but with the people around you. Okay, so we tried 5, we know that one works, so -5 should not work, obviously, but we're gonna try it anyway. We're going to do the same thing, but instead of 5, put -5. Which would give us a -65 instead of a positive. And then if I subtract -65 and 7, what do we get? -7. And does that equal 58? No. Those are not the same. This is not a true statement, true equation. This is not the solution. That's a really quick way to figure out, did I do this right or not? Now, very rarely, you could do this process and accidentally get the right answer with the wrong process. That happens. But if you do all the math correctly, you should be okay. And you should be able to see if it's the actual solution or not. Questions on that? I want you to try 3 and 4. Figure out, are those solutions or not? You can work with the people around you if you so choose. And then we will come back and talk about those 2 in just a second. Or number 3, did we find that that was or was not a solution? It was not. It was not. Does anyone need to see that one? Okay. Did you want to see that one? Or the next one? The next one, okay. Oh, this one. Okay, sorry. Alright, so for this one, I'm just going to rewrite everything that's there and then put parentheses around -2, around -2. Get rid of the x. And then order of operations, do multiplication first. And this is what I was saying, when you have a negative number, use this instead of the minus, because you'll start getting errors in your calculator, you know that. Because this is going to give you a -8, we're just going to put -8 instead of plus minus to try to get away from that. And then we can subtract this. And these 2 numbers are not the same. So this did not work. This is not a solution. Okay. Questions on that one? Right. Number 4, was that a solution? Was that not a solution? It was. Does anyone want to see that one? Yes, okay. So if I put -34 in for y, and put everything else, leave it the same, we're going to divide first, get -17. And then add these 2 numbers together, and that would give us -12, which matched, that made it a true statement, so this was a solution. Okay. Questions about that? Go on to the next page. We're going to briefly talk about some things there and then move on. This is just so that you recognize what's happening when you go to do it, that you remember, okay, I have to do this to both sides. Okay, this is happening. Okay, stuff like that. Alright, so in this, the first one is always given. It's what is listed. And then we're looking at what happened. What did we do from here to here? I think someone said it, but I didn't hear it. Oh.
Multiply divide, or
We did multiply, but not necessarily the 9 to everything. We multiplied what to everything? Or to these two numbers. 2x and negative 8. To these two terms. How do we go from 2, then parentheses x to 2x, and then 2 with the negative 9 later to negative 18?
multiply each time by 2.
Here we go. So we did this. Multiplied both by 2 using the distributive property. So when we use that distributive property, we are multiplying to whatever's inside. Yes.
I was gonna say that.
Go for it.
Then we, I think, oh,
What were you going to say?
I thought we were like plus 10.
Not 10, but we are adding something.
Yeah, I thought like never mind.
We are adding something, just not 10. You were close. 18. Yes. We are adding the 18 to both sides. This becomes 0, and this becomes positive 8. So that is the addition property of equality. So those words are listed up here, but I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. Because we didn't do anything with it. We multiplied 2 and x together. So there's an invisible 1 right here. And we multiplied 2 and 1, and that kind of just combined. Alright, so this, we added on both sides. The property of equality tells us we have to do what we do to one side, we have to do to the other. And then the very last thing, what did we do?
Multiply.
Did we multiply?
I mean divide.
There we go.
Sorry.
Divide, it's okay. Right, divide both sides by 2. So that's your division property of equality. I'm just going to put divide here. Right, we'll do one more of those and then we'll move on to the next part. Questions on any of that so far? Because we're not really solving it, we're just saying what they did so that we kind of get those words associated with the actual doing of what we're about to do. Alright, and number 2, this first one is given. What did they do from step 1 to step 2?
Subtract.
Subtract what?
The 10.
The 10 on both sides. So that's your subtraction property of equality. And then, how did we get rid of this? What happened here? We multiplied. Because this was dividing, so we undid it by multiplying both sides by negative 3. And that would be your multiplication, sorry, I keep wanting to say multiplicative, multiplication property of equality. We're done writing that, on to the next page. We will, if we have time, we'll come back to that. Right, so at the beginning we talked about what does it mean to be a solution, to find a solution. I don't remember the exact question. Now, what does it mean to solve an equation? So we're going to take that answer to find an answer, to answer a problem, answer to a problem, okay? But also, not just that, we have to use our inverse operations in order to do that. So, to find a solution by using inverse operations. And then really quickly figuring out what those inverse operations are. What is the inverse or opposite of addition? Subtraction. Good. What about division? Multiplication. Good. I'm just doing this in different colors so it looks visually like this is where this goes. The opposite of squaring something. It is square root. So if we think about like an opposite page, 2 squared is 4, like 2 raised to the second power, and the square root of 4 is 2. They undo each other. So that also means cube root and cube undo each other, are inverse operations. The 2 cubed, so 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. The cube root of 8 is 2. They undo each other. So we won't do these very often, but you still need to know those. These are some steps if you ever get stuck. Try any of these. If you need to distribute, do that. If there are like terms, bless you, on the same side, so like you have 2 x's or you have 2 constants, 2 numbers, combine those. Move the constant or the variable term by adding or subtracting, and then get the variable alone by multiplying or dividing. Most of the time, that's the order you're going to go. Not all the time, but good portion. So look at these examples. We're not going to do all of them. We don't have time. But find any that stick out that are like, I don't know how to start that. I want to go over that because it just looks complicated. Whatever. Yes. 3. Okay. Any others? Yes. 2, 4. Which one? 6. 9. Great. No promises that we're going to get through all of this so that you also have time to practice. If not, we will do them next class. But I will try my hardest. Alright. So for number 2, this is like one of the ones that we just saw on the last page. We're trying to get m by itself. We got to get rid of everything around it. So anything directly attached to it, that has to wait until the last. So we can get rid of the 2 first by doing what? Subtract, yes. So subtract it on both sides, that subtraction property of equality, so that these cancel. We're left with 8. And this fraction, I'm just going to bring down. Then how would we get rid of that 4? Multiply. Because right now that it's being divided, so to undo that, multiply by 4 on both sides. So these really just cancel each other out, leaving us with 32. So if I were to put that back in, double check myself, 32 divided by 4 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. It works. It's a quick way to double check yourself. All right, questions on 2? With 3, there are kind of 2 different ways to go about it, just like with 6, and we may not have time to do both, and that's okay. We want to get p by itself, get rid of anything that's not directly attached to it first, so get rid of the 25 by doing what? Adding it. So we have 2/3 p, these cancel, equals, thank you. One of the ways you can get rid of this, and you can choose whichever way you are more comfortable with, is to do this in 2 separate steps. The other one is to do it all together. The 2 separate steps, get rid of the denominator first. This is being divided, so just like the other one, I'm going to multiply 3 on both sides so that those cancel on that side. It's 420. Someone double check. Thank you. Alright, and then we could divide both sides by 2 to get 4 way, so you would still start off the same way, but instead of doing this in 2 separate steps, you could do it in 1 step by taking this fraction and flipping it. That's called multiplying by the reciprocal. So if I had this fraction, and I took it and I flipped it and I multiplied it on both sides, I'm going to show you how to do this in the calculator. It's going to give me the same answer without the extra step. So this is going to cancel because this is 6, this is 6, 6 over 6 is 1, it cancels. The whole thing just cancels. But this, in your calculator, you can type in 140 times, go get your fraction bar, alpha y equals that first one, and then type in that fraction. And you get the same thing. So whichever one you like, you want to do the 2 steps, great. You want to do the 1 step, great. Whichever one is more comfortable for you. Did that make sense? Right. I'm going to hold off on 4. I want to do 6, and I want to do 9. So let's do 9. I'll come back to 6, and then we will hold off on 4 and do that next class. So do 9 first. So we have parentheses. We're going to distribute. Whatever number is in front of that will go to everything inside. Has to be directly in front. Guys in the back, please pay attention. So I'm going to bring down everything else. Multiply just the numbers together. If you need to use your calculator, use it. I'm just doing some mental math, so negative 5 times 3, negative 15. Negative 5 times 10 would be negative 50. Drop your parentheses. You have 2 terms that have the same letter. Combine them. Do exactly what it says. 4 minus 15. Do that. Tell me what that is. Negative 11, but yes. And this is going to kind of help you solve number 4 also. So then, same process, getting m by itself. Get rid of the 50 by adding. Should be 176. And then divide both sides by negative 11. What is m?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. Perfect. I'm actually going to do 4 and 6 next class just for sake of time because I want you to have time to do the Delta Math in class so you don't have to do it at home. But really quickly, while you're at home, let's say you don't finish it in class, I want you to have a way to check yourself because you don't have these calculators. You can check yourself in Desmos. You can do this while you're doing this in class too. However, you need to know how to do it. You can't just rely on Desmos. So if I were to put in, this is number 3, you have to change the variables to x. And then I just put in the rest of the equation. Yes. Where this was originally, you have to zoom out. Okay. And then you'll be able to find it. There we go. And it'll tell you what that answer is. But again, that doesn't show you how you got it. You have to know the how do you do this, the how to get this. Okay, so feel free to check yourself in Desmos. So the problem in Delta Math, or the assignment in Delta Math, go ahead and do that because that is due tomorrow. If you finish that, all those, you can answer this discussion or continue working in your notes. So So in the lesson 1, there's a discussion right underneath lesson 1. You can answer that. It shouldn't take very long. It's like, what did you learn about this? So do the Dustin math, answer the discussion, or you can keep working in your notes. If you have questions about it, please raise your hand. We'll be around. And then Sophia, hold on a second.